All right, here we go. Episode 1. So I've been talking about doing this for a long time, telling some stories that lead up to how the Skatenik started and how we wrote music, some of the journey that it took to where we are today. So I'm gonna go back for this first episode and start at the beginning. So I was a DJ in Austin, a place called the Cave Club, which was the premier spot if you wanted to hear cutting edge dance music, punk rock and rap. I can remember finding Over the Shoulder at Waterloo Records about a year before it came out. Apparently someone at KLBJ Radio in Austin received a promo copy of Over the Shoulder 12-inch. And I knew about Ministry and I liked some of their stuff, so I grabbed it. And it changed everything. It changed what I was DJing. It changed the way I look at music and what dance music could be, but music in general. And that same year as Twitch came out, let's say 1986, somewhere there, Ministry was coming through Texas, and we had a chance to book the show. I want to say at that point in time, Ministry was about $5,000 to book. So we needed a $2,500 deposit. At the time, my girlfriend put up the deposit. I had been working with Frank Kozik on doing posters for my DJ nights. So Frank made one of the first really classic concert posters, which was Ministry at the Cave Club. It's featured in a bunch of his books, and people know it really well. It kind of kicked off of his screen printing career. That and the nights I was DJing, that's where the screen printing started with Frank. He actually worked the door at the Cave Club. So back to the Ministry part of it. So Ministry comes to town and they're playing the Cave Club. Cave Club, it's middle of the summer. Cave Club had no air conditioning, but we were still the #1 dance club in town, even though it was short-lived. The fact that people came there for 2 years in a sweltering heat was an attestament to the music that was going on there. People came there because it was the only place you were going to hear that kind of music. And really, Wax Trax was, I think, outside of Chicago, Houston and Austin were the biggest markets outside of Chicago. So, we really made an impression. We got the money to put the deposit down for Ministry, which ended up also leading into other shows at the Cave Club, Skinny Puppy and Butthole Surfers and Sonic Youth and Red Hot Chili Peppers, and the list goes on and on. I'm DJing at the Cave Club. Ministry shows up to play the gig. We get a call that they've decided, the road manager has decided that they're not going to play the show because the club isn't suitable. It's a barn. It's too hot. The door's too small to fit the props through. It wasn't going to happen. Al ends up showing up at the club. This is in the middle of the day, and he walks in, and the club is pitch black with all these neon painted cow bones and skulls that I had cut up, and Dean Studini and I had painted and decorated the Cave Club with. Al comes in, looks around, he goes, "No, we're playing this barn. Set up." So they had to cut the fences in half. This was pre the mine tour. This was barbed wire fences that had 2x4 posts. So they cut all that in half so they could get it through the door. And Ministry played to a packed house. At the time, I believe he said that was his favorite venue they've ever played, or favorite show they've ever played. But that night was basically the night where Al and I became friends. And he played Stigmata for me. He pulled out a cassette and he played Stigmata. And I was like, this is going to change everything. This changes everything. And we swapped numbers and we stayed in touch, and Al would call me up and he would cite lyrics to me. He would send me cassette tapes of rough versions of flashback and stuff and say, what do you think of this? What do you think about the direction it's going? What do you think about the mix? And we just really bonded over what he was doing at the time. I was fascinated by the turn that I believed music was going to take, and it did. So a friendship started, and that's where I'm going to leave it with episode 1, because my pit bull Buster is trying to eat my arm, and this is more than enough time to get an idea of how it started. So this is episode 1. Tune in to more episodes soon.